Well, so hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Joe Collins podcast. Really excited today to have an old rugby teammate of mine on, Mick Learmonth, who has now transitioned into being a professional boxer. Thanks a lot for coming on, Mick. Really excited to catch up with you, mate. It's been way too long. So, How did it come about, mate? The transition? When did you pack in playing rugby? When did you think, right, I want to get stuck into the boxing now and make a life out of it?
Well, first of all, mate, thank you for having me, Joe. I appreciate you having me on, mate.
Anytime, lad.
Obviously, you know yourself. When we were young, I started at Warrington. Started at Warrington first on the professional deal, and then I went to Huddersfield. Our feeder team at that time, I think, or as loan team, some were at York. And we were doing strength and conditioning. And as you know, in your strength testing, and at the start of pre-season, you do your 3 rep max stuff. So I run the 3 rep max, and I was bench pressing, and on the 3rd rep, my chest snapped.
Right.
So I had to have a full reconstruction on my chest. I snapped muscles, ligaments, tendons, everything was completely off the bone. So it were a 4.5, 5 hour recon that needed.
Right, jeez. Was you going heavy, was you? Because you was always dead strong on your chest, mate. When you used to love training your chest and your bench press.
Yeah, well, right. But yeah, mate, I can't remember quite what I had, if I'm honest. I had a bit of a blackout. I can't really remember what I had on. Obviously, it was 3 rep max, so I'd have probably been I'd have been going heavy, and I was struggling on 3rd rep. But like I say, it snapped, and then I had to have the recon, and then that's what just stemmed me into boxing more. I thought with the position I played prop forward.
Yeah.
And I was young enough to quit rugby and see how boxing goes. And if boxing didn't work out, I was still young enough, because I'm only 26 now. I was still young enough to go back to the rugby. So I just followed it, mate. I went to rugby. I went to boxing, and for me personally, best move I made.
Yeah. When did it start getting serious for you, mate, with the boxing? Did you go up first to enjoy it, and then there was a point you thought, right, I could make a living out of this? Is it just your first couple of fights,
Yeah. Well, I started when I was young. I started boxing when I was young. I was about 9. Rugby took me away from it. Because obviously, rugby-wise, I couldn't compete boxing because I was, that rugby was my job.
Yeah.
So I went from 9 up to about 15, 16. I had to stop the boxing, did the rugby. And then I wanted to start using my knees, my elbows. I wanted to do more. So when I first went back into a fighting gym, it was Golden Team in Hunslet, which is a renowned Thai boxing gym.
Right, yeah.
And I was gonna fight K1. I was gonna end up doing K1 professionally. They wanted me to fight that, because I ended up being decent with my legs and my elbows and stuff. So, but then we ended up doing a hands-only session, and that's when I just went into my second nature was boxing. So I just went straight into my boxing stance, and from there it just says, no, you're not doing K1. You're keeping your feet on the floor, and we're boxing, and that's it. So
brilliant, mate.
But I turned pro. I ended up going over to Manchester.
Right, yeah.
I went to Colliers and Moston. At the time, a lad called Jack Bateson was training in our gym. He still trains with us now. He's just finished training with me today. And his dad is my manager.
Right, wow.
Before he became my manager, we spoke to Jack. Jack spoke to his dad, and then Mark spoke to my coach P. And then we all travelled over to Manchester to spar at Colliers and Moston gym to spar Lyndon Arthur. And that was my first spar against an elite pro. His ex-GB is unfortunately just been beat on a world title, but he's at top of the game in my way. And at this point, I think I was still maybe 16.5, 17 stone. But I went and sparred him and did really well. And that's when Mark Bateson turned around and says that I want you to sign with me, and I signed with him and that was it, mate. Made my debut a month later.
Wow. Was it compare like, going into a ring, just one man facing you, trying to knock your head off, to being in the pack, mate? Is it similar, or is it completely different ball game? How does it feel?
Completely different, mate. It's one of them you can.
Is it scarier? More fear or less?
Yeah, it's more nerve wracking. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely more. It's more mental testing than it is with rugby. Do you know what I mean? Because on a rugby pitch, you get into a scuffle, before you know it, there's another 26 lads. Pulling you up. So it's different. You're getting up on a morning, you're running on your own. That's hard mentally.
Yeah,
you
of course.
have to put on your own. That's hard. You've got to box, you're on your own. You fight, you're on your own. Yeah, you've got your coach and stuff, but when you jump in that ring, you're on your own. It's all on you. So it is definitely more nerve-wracking, mate, than walking onto a pitch. 100%.
Interesting, mate. So, Mick, at 16, I remember the first time I seen you playing amateur with Rosebridge versus Hunslet. I'd never seen you before. It was first round of the National Cup. We drew on you. You was on paper the favourite team. You had 6 or 7 lads play for England, and I'd heard a lot about you. It was a big rainy day in Hunslet, and I remember the first time I'd seen you. You were like 16, 17 stone then, massive chest, shorter than this ponytail. And I thought, who the fuck's this beast? Who have I come up against here? And 6 months later, we all signed professionally, and you was the main man. You was the big signing. We went and got from Leeds. How did you find that sort of pressure of being, the main man at 16 and, moving, an hour down the motorway to come and play at Warrington, and having that sort of pressure on you of being the number 1 signing and what have you? How did you find that?
You know what, mate? In all honesty, it was good at the time, but thinking of it now, I think it probably ruined me a bit.
Yeah. Personally, or just rugby?
Rugby.
Yeah.
Rugby. I think because of maybe the deal I got, or I don't know what it was, mate, but I think it just. I think the pressure. I'd rather have been a bit of an underdog, having to fight my way up type thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it's. I wish I'd have got a less of a deal or something just to keep me hungry. Do you know what I mean?
Because I feel like you lost your hunger with it at the start then at Warrington, like.
Yeah, especially at 16, like on a decent deal, or I didn't feel. Obviously, I was still young as well mentally at 16.
Of course, yeah.
I thought I've cracked it here.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'd not. So don't get me wrong, mate. I enjoyed my years at Warrington, but I do think they probably ruined me in that front.
Yeah. So looking back, would you have made a different decision, or you all no regrets? You've ended up in the right place.
No, it's led me to where I am now, George. You know what I mean? It's led me to where I am now, mate. I can't moan about anything. It's happened. It's happened for a reason. And obviously for me now, mate, being in boxing, it's meant to be in it. So I can't take anything away from what I did with rugby. My best years rugby wise were probably at Huddersfield under under Chris Foreman.
How long did you do Huddersfield? Sorry, mate. I know I played against you for Widnes. You did that last year of under-19s, but did you carry on, or did you loaned out to York, like you said, because there was no reserves?
Yeah. That's when I snapped my chest when I was doing the strength testing at York.
Right. So how old was you then? Did you play for York for a bit first, or?
Yeah. I think I was about, when I snapped my chest, how old was I? I think I'll have been about 22.
Right, so you did a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, because it took me, I think, 18 months of rehab, to get through it. And
right, God.
So, because I couldn't even, when I'd had me up on that job, I couldn't even pick up a 5 kilo dumbbell. Like my left side of my right side of my body were paralyzed for like 8 days, I think it was.
Wow.
8-10 days. So my right side were completely paralyzed. So I went from benching whatever 170, 180, whatever it might have been, and to having to work on resistance bands because I couldn't even pick up a 5 kilo dumbbell. So,
jeez.
So I think I did from the 19s up till maybe 21 at Huddersfield. Well, they were definitely my best years, I'd say.
Yeah.
Best years playing, enjoying it, because they trimmed me down too. I got right down to.
You were leaner, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I got down to like 98 kg. I think I got down about 98, 96 kilo.
Well, it was like a stone lighter than he was at Warrington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, so I felt better all the way through at Huddersfield, mate.
Yeah. You got that hunger back for a bit. It was the hunger back though until the injury,
Definitely. And I think I was enjoying it more too. You know yourself, if you enjoy the game, you play better, don't you? Like,
of course you do.
It's the same in boxing, mate. The old saying in boxing, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and that's the same in rugby. I was happy. I played my best years. Yeah,
100%.
I was happy with the coach. I was happy with the training I was getting. It wasn't an hour and 20 down road to Warrington. It were only 50 down motorway, and everything just amounted to it, mate. And I ended up being my best years. But like you say, mate, it's took its journey, and due course, it's led me to boxing.
Put you in the right path. And to be fair, mate, the two games you can't really do if you're unhappy. They're dangerous, and if you're not happy and not focused, you get hurt, can't you? So it's something you're always going to have your bad days, but you've got to be careful that you are happy at it because it's so dangerous, and you've got to be so on your toes of it. Both sides, like I said, boxing definitely more.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
What about your upbringing, Mick? I think we spoke about it before. I think, like you said, your dad was quite disciplined with you. Obviously, you said you'd done boxing, rugby, the lot. What was your upbringing like, sports-wise, and how's that led you to be the success you are today?
Upbringing, mate, I had a decent upbringing, but sports-wise, with my upbringing, there was no sport in my family.
Nobody played sport, no?
Nobody played or like that. My dad used to work doors, so he was here and about. He either were there or he wasn't. And my mum just worked. So I've only got two sisters, so none of them played sport. One went into army, but one of them, no one ever played sport. My mum, dad, sisters, nothing. But when I was probably going through the scholarships at Leeds, my brother, my sister, ended up getting with, which is now my brother-in-law, married to him and got two kids. They were only 14, 15 when they got together, but he were at Leeds too. But obviously, he were older than me, so he ended up signing deals before me, and I think that probably encouraged me a bit more, like speaking to him, going to watch him play.
Yeah, of course.
Even seeing him come home with like training kit from Leeds that I'd got and signed with, it probably made me think I want it. But away from my family, mate, there were no one in my family played sport. It was me, myself, that sat and watched TV and said, I think my dad were watching rugby. And it happened same with boxing, the exact same way. We're watching rugby, and I says, I want to play that. We're only 6, 7. And he laughed and he says, you won't play that. And anyway, I didn't say no much of it.
Why did he say that? Sorry. Why did he say it?
I've no idea, Joe.
Right.
I just think he didn't think I was serious, or if I want to act it, I don't know. He ended up watching it again a couple of weeks later, and I said it again. I want to play. I want to have a go at rugby. Anyway, he went to work, and a bloke down there, he told him about it, and this bloke actually coached at the Unstuck Warriors where I played. And he says to bring him down. I went down, and first training session, I got ball. The coach said to me, "Get this ball, run, and put it over that line." So there's a defensive line in front of me. I got the ball, ran through and scored. He said, "Just do it again." And he had me do it like 4 or 5 times on bounce, and each time I ran through and scored. And that's how I started playing rugby, and that was it, mate. Just stemmed from there. And it was the same with boxing. We were watching boxing. I said, "I want to do that," and he said the same. Then he says, "You definitely won't be able to box. You won't do it."
Right, God. So, do you think that had an effect on you? Do you think him saying you won't be able to do it made you think, "I'm going to go and do it"? Or did you not think?
I I don't think so. Then I probably didn't have that mindset back then, but it would now.
Yeah.
It would now
Yeah.
if someone said you can't do it, or if my dad were to say you won't be able to do it, I'd make
Yeah.
sure I'd do it. Whereas back then, I probably didn't have that mindset at that young
Yeah.
age, but just
Check it
turns
out.
out I ended up decent at them both. Yeah.
Yeah. So where did you, like, as I know you, mate, obviously not seen each other for a bit, but probably one of the nicest people I've ever met, but then one of the toughest people to play against, ever played against and know. And like I said, that the people I'd have always thought toughest to play against are the nicest ones off the field, not running around with an ego and anything. That was completely you. You know, you were always lovely to be around. But where did you think that discipline and that sort of toughness came from? Was it just, you just love, I don't know, you know, getting dirty, playing rugby, or was it something that you built through what you've been through in your life, if you know what I mean, mate?
Yeah. I've always been disciplined at home. You know,
Yeah.
my dad was the one that disciplined us, and don't get me wrong, my mum didn't let any of us get away with anything. But
No.
if she, it would only a matter of time before she could do anything, well, that'd bother me, and that's when
Yeah.
you know my dad had give me a
Yeah,
good
of
idea.
course.
So I was always well disciplined at home, which probably made me be respectful and polite, like you say, off at pitch.
Yeah, yeah.
But on the pitch is where you can I used to always get told, like, as soon as you cross that white line, there's a switch.
Yeah.
That switch needs to be turned on, and
Yeah.
it's one of them. It's anything goes on pitch. You know, you
Yeah, of
either
course.
play hard, you play tough. A fight happens, it happens. You shake hands after it.
Yeah.
So I just always got told that, Joe, and I think because I was well disciplined at home, it probably made me take it out more on the pitch.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you could be a bit looser and let yourself go a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you
definitely.
find that switch now with boxing, mate? Because, like you say, there's more fear involved. It's just you versus one man who's straight trying to hit you. I know, sort of rugby for me, that line, as we call it, probably I let it go too far and probably destroyed me, and probably that's why I ended up where I ended up with. So obviously, probably didn't get the control of that line. Do you find that line of switching on when you've got to fight and train to switching off outside the ring is harder now you're boxing compared to rugby? Or have you still got it well under control? Like, is it still as easy?
It's had to be. I've took it from rugby to boxing,
Yeah.
but I've probably had to be taught to have more discipline in boxing, because although it's fighting,
Yeah.
in rugby you could someone would piss you off, you get the
Yeah.
ball and you just run as hard as you can. Where in
Yeah.
boxing, if I were to get caught and I don't know, lose my temper,
Yeah.
me losing my temper and end up having me get caught more.
Right.
So
Well, yeah.
I've got to be a lot calmer, and you know, a lot more composed and
Yeah.
more disciplined. Like I say, mate, if I were fighting and someone came rushing into me because they just were fighting off of anger,
Yeah.
it'd be a field day in a way, because there's openings everywhere. Where if you
Right.
fight someone who's a lot more composed and calmer, it's a lot more thinking. You know, you've got to actually find the angles or find the gaps. Where if someone just runs in just because they're mad or angry, it's
Yeah.
a lot easier for a fighter. You know, so I've had to
Right.
take that to rugby, but probably calm it down a bit more in the anger.
Right. Interesting, mate. So, do you say you go into a boxing match a bit calmer than you would have gone into a rugby game? Yeah.
Most definitely. I've been in changing room before, Joe, when I'm fighting, and people have come into changing room, and I've just been sat there, and they've come up to me and says, "Are you fighting tonight?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fighting. I'm on whatever time. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sweet." And that's just because you've just got to be so calm. It's end of the day, if you've done all your training, and if you
Yeah.
know you've done all your training with no stone unturned, then for me, there's nothing I need to worry about on fight night. Whatever's going to
Yeah.
happen is going to happen. As long as I know I've trained as well as I can, then I shouldn't need to worry about anything. So I think that's probably why I'm so calm on the fight night too.
Brilliant. So, do you think boxing has improved you again as a person, mate, by having to be calmer and learn to deal with emotions even better? do you feel like an happier person, not just because you're doing well at the boxing, but because of the lessons, the discipline it teaches you about your emotions?
Yeah, definitely. Like, see, when I'm away from the gym or whatever, I like to keep myself to myself anyway.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know, even if there's a problems going on outside the gym,
Yeah.
sometimes you wouldn't know. I'd just be quiet. I keep myself to myself, or I'd take myself out on a long run, and it just no headphones or all like that, and it just frees your mind up. Do you know what I mean? So I think it has taught me outside the gym just to really be calm, because then again in training, I've been training today, and today's session was a really tough session. So
yeah,
there's no point now in wasting energy that I could put in the gym. There's no point wasting it outside here, so I might as well just be calm and keep myself to myself.
Brilliant, mate. So do you have any other let-outs, mate? Like you say, you keep yourself to yourself. What do you do to switch off from boxing? Or if boxing's gone wrong, training's not gone the best, will you just go for a run? Or do you have any other ways of dealing with things, or just seeing family, friends?
Family, friends, my partner, spend time with my missus, or watch a film, go for some food, or go for a run, swimming, see my nephews. I just spend time with people that I know like want to be around me. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
People that if I've actually got a problem, want to speak to them, I speak to the people that I know are actually they're actually going to speak to me, not people that are just, I don't know, around for, I don't know, just to be around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's how I seem to deal with anything. If I've got going on, fair enough. A lot of stuff I do keep it to myself. That's why I train so hard sometimes, because I go for it just takes me away for a bit. I remember running before, and I ran, and I was that deep into thought. I'd ran like, I don't know, 6 mile out, but I find it hard to run in a loop, Joe. So
right, I'm with you. Yeah,
I like to either run somewhere, get picked up and brought home, or get dropped off and I'll run home.
Yeah.
So I ran from my house, and I was that deep into thought. I'd ran like 6 mile out, and I thought, fucking hell, I need to get back here, because I'd not organised anyone to pick me up or drop me off.
Right,
but
yeah. Just lost it.
Yeah. But that's what it does for me, mate. That's where I like to channel my thoughts. Yeah, running.
Brilliant, mate. And what about and being in the fight game, mate? Obviously, you've got some good people around you, like you've spoken about. Is it harder to stay away from people with, let's say, big egos, or people involved in the wrong world in the fight game, or them type of people not into having a positive mindset, being in a positive lifestyle? Is it hard to stay away from them people? Is there more of them, or are you lucky?
It is, mate. No, because where I come from, like the area I grew up in, Belial and Leeds, it's not the best, mate, at all. And I didn't like, and I still don't like. Well, it's not that I don't like the place, Joe, but I don't like what it brings with it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
People that are there, or even my mates, some mates from school that have, I don't know, left school. Some have gone to jail, or some are just doing whatever they do. And I always found myself like trying to do the opposite. Do you know what I mean? I always used to find myself training or being in the gym or just doing something, because it was so easy to get dragged into.
Of course,
that is no good for you. And like now I've moved away from Belial. I've moved away from Leeds no more. So I'm a good 20 minutes down motorway now from Belial, which is what I wanted. So, but it was, mate, growing up, it was hard to stay away from whatever nonsense were going on, because it's not the greatest place. But thankfully I did, and and I didn't want to be around them sort of people. So
just sort of, have you had more, let's say, leeches sort of try and cling on since you become what you become in the boxing, like, because you are respected, and boxing this hard, even harder sport, let's say, than rugby league, and as this image, you find you get more leeches trying to hang on to you, let's say, or be around you because of what you become now?
I think now, Joe, it's like I don't ever say leeches because I put myself around people that I want to be around now.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I still have more than enough respect to give my time to everyone that wants it, but only to a certain extent. You'd never find me out like driving around in a car on a night with them people, or going out or all like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't drink. I've never drank, so you wouldn't see me going out on a night out with them or not like that. I put myself around people that are positive, that are, you know, some people that have businesses or are wanting to have their own business. Like, you know, people
of course,
you can actually learn something from.
Yeah.
Everyone else, mate, I'll always give, because I don't forget where I come from, Joe. I'll always give my time to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
definitely, yeah.
Not just them as well, mate. I love it when them people come to my fights and I've not seen them. I say if I've not seen them for a few months and
of course,
it's nice to see them and still showing that you know they support me, even though I've moved out of Belial or I'm trying to do something with myself. Support, you know, which for me goes a long way, and I see them people. Do you know what I mean? Even though I don't see them on everyday life or nights out, I see them at the shows, and it does mean a lot.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, mate. When I meant Lee, I didn't mean people from just where you come from. I meant it's sort of the fight game. You know, I've had you know, as we know, wherever we are, we know people who's into it, and people into the fight game, into the wrong type of world, and you know, to say is it harder to avoid them in that sport? Not obviously there's good and bad everywhere, mate, and that's the nature of life, mate. Yeah. Respect to you, mate, for everything you say. It's brilliant. What advice would you give to anyone, mate? You know, like we go back to the rugby signing on now, mate. The big, you know, you being the big sign, and I know you found it, the decisions you made to come over to Warrington. What advice would you give to someone in your position, or a 16-year-old Mick Learmonth looking back? Like I say, everything's happened for a reason. You've ended up on the right path. But is there any advice you'd give to someone who's in your position at 16, who is the top of the tree?
For me, in my position, because of what I wish I did,
on
a rugby front, I'd go see everyone that had offered you, because I only went to see two. I only went to see two clubs, and that one probably out of rugby, that's my only regret. When you asked about regrets earlier, that's probably my only regret, is the fact that I did go and see the other clubs that were interested and see what they had to offer. I just, you know, I seen the big thing and money or moving over there, a car, whatever. And now I'd say to them lads, don't go see everyone, you know, and actually see what's best for you. Ask about the longevity, you know, what they can do for you or your family, or, instead of just a big thing. And if you don't get me wrong, you've got to earn, you've got to live, but at 16 it's not about that, which I thought it was, but it's really not. It's about you know, your foundation, and bringing you up as a proper athlete, and looking after your body and your diet, and even mental training, you know, speaking to people. You know, I know you do a lot of it, Joe, and you help you up a lot. So even people like yourself, reaching out to people like that can help you in, you know what I mean? If you get too nervous before a game, there's always someone there to, like yourself, to speak to about it and help with. So
of course.
I'd say look at everything, not just the contracts. Go speak to people. Speak to people that aren't even your family, because I got driven to go to the money.
Right. Yeah.
For me, I'd say speak to people who aren't in your family, who are gonna advise you properly. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Even your agent. You know, people have an agent, so some don't, but I had an agent, so he did get me a good deal and stuff. But for me, mate, I'd say speak to people out of your family, or go see everyone, see what the offer, right from where they can take you from your family up to such money. So that's what I'd say, mate, to people that are in my position now.
Brilliant, mate. Hey, well, you mentioned there about, say, getting too nervous before a game. Did you ever, mate? And do you do anything mindset-wise, Mick, or, you know, just your training, what helps you there, or do you know, reading saved my life. It's something I've never done since leaving school. I watch YouTube all day. Do you do anything to work on your mindset, like, or is it just through training, bud?
No, it's my problem. Probably my mind training, mental training is is running. Like like my missus knows when I ain't been running for a couple of days, I get aggy. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
like my head gets up my ass for a bit, and I need to go for a run. You know what I mean? Even
yeah.
over Christmas and stuff, like I just needed to run just to free my mind. So that helps me a lot. But back in rugby days, I think I was certain music. I used to listen to a certain song.
What was it? You remember?
Yeah, it was London Grammar. It was the last song I ever listened to before I left for a field. It was London Grammar. I think it was Stronger. I think it was called.
Right, yeah.
And that was the last song I listened to. But now, training wise, boxing, sorry, I always think about my nephews, my mum, my sisters, my missus.
Yeah.
Now what I would give, or like sometimes I'll be training, and a lot of on my training t-shirts, a good mate, one of my close friends, he passed away a few years ago, and I always put him on my kit or on my t-shirts and stuff. And my strength and
I've seen that, mate. Yeah.
My strength and conditioning says it now. Sometimes when we're, yourself, when you're in like dark waters when you're training, something just needs to trigger you to get you through it. And he always mentions him. Do you know what I mean? He always says, think about what's on your top. Think about what's on your top.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah.
So that's probably where I go mentally now.
Yeah. Brilliant, mate. And when we're losing your friend, mate, was it same again? Was running the way you dealt with it? But I've, similar to you, I've lost a few friends since I've seen you, and part of life and growing up with it, like I say, your friend died too soon, I had a couple died too young, and the tough times, mate, the same again. Was it running, training, all that to get you through it? Yeah.
It was, and not just that as well, but his brother is my best mate, and
right.
So he to be fair, he'd been out of jail a week, and his brother and that happened to Chris. His brother passed away. So me and Ricky, his brother, we trained every day together. We were knocking on each other's door at 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd go to the gym. We'd go for some breakfast. We'd go for a run. We'd go for a sauna every day. I'd drop him off at evening, and then I'd go home, or vice versa. So we just trained, mate. We just tunnel visioned everything and just trained every day. You know what I mean? Just tried staying active as possible. And in the boxing gym, I just worked hard all the time. And it's like I say again, that again though, Joe, for me, is being around the right people.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah.
Although he's my coach, me and P, Porrick McDonough, we have a great relationship outside the gym. I can speak to him if I need to. Problems, I can speak to him, and so it was nice when that happened to even have him in the gym to speak to, then train with.
Of course,
then, my best mate, which was his brother, train with him every day or go for food with him and stuff. So just channeled my vision and just tuned into training, staying active.
Mate. Use it as fuel to add to your fire, like to add to your motivation.
Yeah, hopefully get me to end goal and what I want. So
brilliant, mate.
Really.
What is the end goal, mate?
People ask me this, and they always think, they always say, world title, or and for me, it's really not. My end goal is to, like, probably like most men's, I'd have thought, or most people's even, but I just want to make sure my family's all right, and I just want to secure my family. I'm not asked for titles and stuff. But the titles are just they're part of the journey. And for me, fortunately, the title comes with, succeeding to take care of my family. But the goal ultimately, mate, is just to look after the family. That's it, mate.
Brilliant, mate. It's a lot better a motivation to have than just aiming for a belt, isn't it? Like you say, if you work hard enough, the belt will come, won't it? But you've got sounds like you got the right motivation. It's just about you challenging yourself, being the best you can be, and like I said, providing for your family and having a happy life, mate, which is brilliant. And hopefully, a title come too. What's the goals, family wise, mate? To kids, what have you? Yeah. And
not yet.
Not yet, mate. No.
Not yet. Keep getting bugged for them, but not yet.
Not yet.
Got 3 nephews. and they're enough for now. I can give them and take them back. I can give them and take them back whenever I want. And the missus, she's got a nephew and a niece, so
yeah.
But I can say they're enough for now. We can give them as soon as I start whinging, we can give them back. So no kids for me yet. Eventually though, but like I say, I've always been in a mindset of I want to do stuff the right way, or I want to make sure I'm secure enough to,
Yeah.
you know, bring a kid in. So
yeah,
eventually.
Yeah, that looking back, mate, that must have been so hard for you though at 16. Like you say, you didn't come from the nicest of areas to not be led by the money and think about what you've just spoke about, going around everywhere and looking at the other things. It would have been very difficult for you to think like that, mate, when, like you say, you didn't come from the nicest of areas. Mustn't it? Like, the money must have been more of a pull, and I'm sure there would be a lot of people in that same position, like, won't there?
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that I grew up with that were my mates and stuff, that when I ever used to go training, they'd go do whatever they were doing, and I'd, what I mean, it were hard not to follow what they were doing, and they're doing whatever they were doing is easy money as well, so it were hard, you know what I mean,
of course.
But like I say, I think I do watch a lot of YouTube videos as well, or I used to. I don't really anymore, but I used to watch a lot of Matthew McConaughey or Denzel Washington. Like speaking
speeches and that. Yeah.
And I think that probably took myself to a different place of what they were doing, and like you say, into whatever they were doing, because I could have done quite easily and been led completely down a different path and wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So I can only thank my lucky stars and the people around me that I am doing what I'm doing now, and I didn't go down that route, because it would have been very easy to. And not just that as well, mate. I've got a great backing now in sponsors. Do you know what I mean? I've got some great people in sponsors now as well, mate. So even for their sake, I read a quote not long ago. What was it? And it was something like, to not give your absolute best to those to supporting you is the biggest level of disrespect, to something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think about it all the time that there's Darren Lung. He's been from me from day dot with my first sponsor. Like people like him and JDC or Aaron Whitrow, Joe Potter. Like I think of people like that, and that I've been with from day one, and I think
of course,
I owe it to them. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
I owe it to people like that to train hard and stay disciplined, diet well, and give it my best, really.
Yeah. On them days when you don't feel like doing it for yourself, do it for them. It gains you an extra 10-20%, doesn't it? So brilliant, mate. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. When's your next fight? The 25th? 25th of Feb?
February 25th, mate, yeah.
Brilliant, mate. Well,
camp now.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, lad, and so good to catch up with you, mate. We'll pause this and have a catch up, mate.
Congratulations on the new job front as well.
Oh, cheers, lad. Yeah. One self. Stop this, mate.